Today is all about painting sunsets. The light at the end of the day is the most dramatic, the most evocative, and sunsets are an exciting thing to paint, and if we can get this right, we can really elevate our paintings. So if this is something that you have struggled with in the past, and perhaps we even paint skies that end up turning green, and we're going to talk about mixing in part 3 of today's video, but this video is for you. So today I'm going to give you 3 strong tips that can help you paint sunsets in a very repeatable, simple way. Tip number 1 for painting sunsets is you need to paint dark enough. When we're painting scenes like this, where the light is really the main subject, it's easy to paint things too light, but we cannot have dynamic light within our scenes if we are not painting dark enough. So here you can see this is a painting of a sunset, and it's helpful to first identify the lightest part of the scene. So here is obviously where the sun is setting, where our light source is. When you can identify that, you can know that everywhere else in the scene needs to be darker than that area, right? That makes a lot of sense. But often what I see is we're not painting dark enough in other parts of the sky, but especially on the ground plane. If the ground plane has too much light and is too weak in values, then this is just not going to create dynamic light. So when you are painting sunsets, be sure that you are painting dark enough, not only in the darks of the scene, but in the middle values and in the lights. The best thing that you can do is to identify the brightest part, ensure that everywhere else is darker than that area, and then make sure that you're painting strong middle values and strong darks to really help that light become strong and dynamic. The second issue that I see when students are painting sunsets, or skies in general, is they get too locked in to copying the reference photo. When we see sunsets, there's often a lot of information within the photograph, especially if there are clouds around the sunset. So a little bit of scattered clouds during a sunset can make for a really dynamic, fascinating, beautiful reference pic. But what we need to understand is we are not trying to translate a photograph into a watercolor painting. Use your photograph as inspiration, as a jumping off point. If I try to copy every little cloud that I see in a reference photo, every little value change, every little bit of information, my painting will not turn out. I get so consumed with those little details that other areas are starting to dry up, and soon my painting becomes overworked. So when you look at your reference photo, try to boil it down to what are the essentials. Where is the light coming from? Focusing on the big shapes of the scene, the big cloud shapes, rather than small individual clouds. Focusing on the shape of the ground versus every little individual tree. Grouping things together. That can help you simplify your approach and create a stronger painting. Now let's talk about color mixing, because that is when a lot of people stumble when they're painting sunsets. Have you ever painted a sunset and you start mixing cool colors and warm colors, and soon you've created this green color in your sky that you definitely were not trying to do? Well, that's a common issue, and today I'm going to tell you about using a buffer color. What happens sometimes when we are painting sunsets, we will have the blue of the sky. So I'm using some Cobalt Blue here. And then we have some of the warmer colors of the sunset. So I'm taking some raw sienna here, and we mix this together. Well, what happens in the middle between blue and yellow is we get this dull green color. And if we're not careful, this can really throw off our sunsets. So I want to show you something here that is really helpful. So we'll start again with some Cobalt Blue. Now I'm gonna use some Rose Madder Permanent. And I'm gonna come to that next. Put some Rose Madder Permanent there. And now I'm gonna transition to my raw sienna. And that little difference right there can really help out your sunsets. Using a transition color or a buffer color between your cool colors and your warm colors. Using some Rose Madder Permanent right there in the middle. And that is really effective in allowing those colors to mix better on your paper. You're less likely to get this green that we see here, and you're more likely to get this lovely transition between your cool and your warm colors. So just to help you out a little bit more with some of the colors I use in a sunset, for the blue of the sky, I typically use Cobalt Blue. And then I'm using Rose Madder Permanent, which I showed you here. And then I will use some raw sienna. But say there's some really vibrant colors that I need. Well, I don't use these colors a lot in other areas of paintings other than sunsets. So I have some cadmium yellow that I can use if I really need some vibrancy. I can also use a little bit of cadmium orange. You know, I can mix that in when I really need some vibrancy. A lot of my color mixing in my paintings tends to be a lot of neutrals and more subdued colors. But when it comes to a sunset where we need a lot of vibrancy, that's when I pull out some of these other colors. So it's okay to use some vibrant colors within your sunsets. Just make sure that they mix nicely together. And so prior to painting a sunset, you can do something like this where you get out some colors and you just see how the cool colors are mixing with the warm colors and how they interact with each other. So I recommend doing a little color study before you jump into your sunsets. That can really help you nail down some of those questions so you're not trying to figure them out during the painting process. Those are my 3 tips for painting sunsets. First, you want to really think about the values and you want to paint dark enough, especially away from your light source, to really help that light source be strong. Secondly, you don't want to copy too directly from your reference photo. Use it as an inspiration, but don't copy everything exactly onto your painting. And finally, use a buffer color between your cool and warm colors when you're painting the sunset. If you have questions about the way that I paint or would like to know more about my process, take a look at this. Have you ever been really excited about a painting and you get all set up, you find that right reference that you're excited about, and then it's time to go and you feel lost? I have a free resource that I want to give to you today that can help with these problems. My 5 steps to plan a successful watercolor painting. I walk you through the crucial planning phase of your painting that will help you understand what you're going to paint first, second, and third. The planning is really so important, especially in watercolor. This medium is harder to correct. It's so immediate. So having that plan is very important. I send you a PDF that you can download. And the great thing about this is you can have it on your phone. You could print it out. You can download this right now before you start your next painting. All you have to do is follow this link here and download my 5-step guide to planning a successful watercolor painting.